I'm releasing this video on World Book Day 2021. We've been in lockdown here in the UK for almost 12 months because of COVID-19. How crazy is that? And before COVID, I was gallivanting all over the place and being busy. Watch this video. But with so much time on my hands, I spent quite a lot of lockdown reading books, and I've never really enjoyed reading books, even as a child. I'm a very slow reader, and anytime I got a book out, my eyelids would transform into heavy plates of lead and I would just fall asleep. And I've got this theory, because I'm not very good at reading, I'm really slow, and I didn't do it a lot. My brain consumed so much energy processing the words on the page that it would make me sleepy. But the more I did it, the better I got, and now I can successfully read a chapter without falling asleep. Over the last 12 months, I've read more books than I ever have, and I'm particularly enjoying reading before going to sleep at night. And I'm even reading in the mornings at the weekend before I get out of bed. And I can't believe that I am that person and that I'm saying that, but I'm loving it because it's time away from digital, from screens and all the noise. So with all that said, here's the books that I've enjoyed the most over the last 12 months. The first book is The Molecule of More, and this book is absolutely amazing. It was kind of a revelation for me. The reason that I bought it was just ahead of my digital and social media detox when I sent my phone to Australia, and I wanted to learn about the effects of dopamine to help motivate me towards my digital-free journey. And dopamine is the hormone that drives us to want more, whether that be more food, a work promotion, a better car, expensive clothes, drugs, sex, shopping, social media, anything where we want more, probably dopamine's involved. Most people refer to dopamine as the feel-good hormone, but that's not necessarily the case. It does make us feel good, but in a kind of fake, twisted way. It would be like putting on a pair of shoes that's too tight for us just for the relief of taking them off. And it's also the same sensation as a heroin addict would be getting their next hit. It's not really feel good, but we think that it feels that way. From the very first page, I was hooked, and all of the puzzle pieces started to fit together, and it answered all of the questions I'd had about myself and my behaviour. And as well as helping me understand myself, it's also helping me understand other people. As a result of reading this book, I've been able to cut down the amount of digital consumption, social media, and even to the point where I'm not eating as much processed sugar, because that's all part of the dopamine system. I was absolutely blown away by this book, and I'm going to go as far to say as I think it's probably one of the best books I've ever read. And to some extent, I feel as though this has been some kind of therapy for me, because I'm finally understanding why I do the things that I do. And now seems like a really good opportunity to just explain a few things about this video. I'm not going to give the main messages about the books away, because that would give little reason for you guys to go and read them. And then also everything that I'm talking about today is a physical book. I've moved much more analogue recently and moved away from audiobooks and digital books. I just find that being able to highlight the pages, make notes in the columns, and also by learning through my eyes rather than my ears, I take in so much more of the information. The next book on the list is Tools of Titans, and this will probably be on my list every single year. It's kind of my Bible, and I've had it for so long I could just read it over and over and over again. And I did actually start reading it from front to back, and I got about 60% of the way through, and then I lost momentum. But it's one of those books that you can just dip in and dip out. And the strapline to this book is The Tactics, Routines and Habits of Billionaires, Icons and World-Class Performers. And it's split into 3 sections: healthy, wealthy and wise. and it's everything to do with fitness, money and wisdom. And some of the chapters are 2 to 3 pages long, and some of the longer ones are only about 9 to 10. So it's really easy to dip in and dip out, and you can just move all the way over the book. And there's never a time where I've read it and I've not learned something. If I could only own one book, it would be this one. Next on the list is The Artist's Way. And this isn't really a book, more a creativity course. And the strapline is a course in discovering and recovering your creative self. And it's for anyone who wants to unleash their creativity. And it doesn't have to be creativity like an artist. It can be anything, like a dancer or a florist, or if you're building a website, maybe you want to be a comedian, anything where you create. And I suppose to a certain extent, all of us create every single day. So in that sense, all of us are artists. So if you've got a dream or a vision and you don't know how to get there or exactly what it is, or you don't know where to start, then I would definitely recommend this book and this course. It's 12 chapters, and each chapter is one of the weeks of the course, and it involves writing and journaling. It involves certain tasks, and then at the end of the week you evaluate your week and your progress. This book is the reason that I've been able to gain the confidence to start making my YouTube videos, something that I'd wanted to do for almost 5 years but could just never muster up the courage. And so I've got this book to thank. So if you are wanting to do something, you've got this vision, this fire, this passion, or you just want to try something a little bit different, then I would highly recommend The Artist's Way. It does get a little bit spiritual at times, but I'd say have an open mind and just go with the flow. Next on the list is The War of Art. And this book marries up really well with this book in terms of it being really good for somebody who wants to unleash their creativity or just get shit done. Like if you've got this block where you want to do something and you just feed yourself all of these excuses, then 1,000,000% I recommend this. It's really short at 165 pages. Some of the pages are just filled with a few sentences, and the author, who is a former Marine, he then turned into this blocked, stuck author. And then after years of writing, he transformed into this best-selling author. He talks about all of the excuses and all of the bullshit that we feed ourselves to stop doing what we want to do. And he refers to those excuses as resistance. And the word resistance has a capital R, like it's an actual thing. Resistance is anything that prevents us from doing our work. And when I read this book, I was just basically like, OMG. You know, when you feel like a book has been written for you, like the words are speaking directly to you. There are 3 chapters in the book, and rather than calling them chapters, they call them books, which is a bit strange. And the first book is called Resistance. And it's a series of short paragraphs about the power of resistance and its ability to ruin our visions and our dreams. The second chapter is called Combating Resistance and talks about the difference of the amateur and the pro. And when it talks about the pro, it doesn't mean necessarily that that person is earning loads of money from doing what they love. It refers to them showing up each day and doing the work. And book 3 is called Beyond Resistance. And this is a chapter that's going to keep us on the road of doing what we love and what we believe we are here to do. For years, I'd wanted to do my videos and I just fed myself all of these bullshit excuses. I didn't have the right equipment. I didn't like the background. Where I live was too noisy. The sun was too bright. You can't start making videos at 38. People would think you're a wally. Blah, 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 blah. And so I just pushed these dreams down, and then I just forgot about them and I did life. And it was only once I'd gained the confidence to start making my videos the thing that I enjoy and the thing that I love, that I realised that all those years not doing them had made me really sad. Again, if there's something that you want to do but you just don't know how to get there and you're just feeding yourself all of these excuses, this is the book for you. And it is just this massive slap round the face to get stuff done. There are a few sections that had me going, what? And it did get a bit spiritual and I didn't really know what was going on at times. But like the artist's way, stick with it and go with the flow and have an open mind. And I think that there's always a positive result on the other side of something like this. Next on the list is a book by Dan Harris called 10% Happier. And this had been on my reading list for many years because it had popped up in other books that I read. But given the title, I never felt quite ready for it. I built the book up in my head based on the title, 10% Happier, and that it was a self-help book. And I suppose it is a self-development book, but it's more of a story about the author. It's basically a biography of Dan Harris, who is an American news anchor who went on a 5-year journey of meditation where he started out as a skeptic. And in this book, he documents all of his experiences in a hilarious, enriching and educational way. I thoroughly enjoyed this book because it had a storytelling element to it. And I think a book just based on meditation probably would have been quite boring. But the author's sense of humour was absolutely spot on. And it had me laughing out loud at times. And I think I particularly liked it because I could really relate to his extroverted, highly motivated and impulsive personality. As a result of reading this, it's brought me back to meditation. I did meditate for a number of years and then I just kind of found other stuff to do instead. But by reading this and all of the science and the case studies and the storytelling in there, it's brought me back to doing 10 minutes every morning. And I really like it because it quietens the inner voices in my head, like all of the negative stuff that I say to myself, all of the horrible things. And that actually links back to this book, which is The Resistance, all of the excuses that we feed ourselves. And it also links to The Artist's Way because the author of this book refers to all of those negative voices, the inner critic, as the censor. So although these are based on creativity and this is based on meditation, it's kind of all funneling and leading towards this happy, healthy life, which this channel is all about. So if you're curious about meditation or you can't get your head around it, then I think that this is a really great book. There's some laugh out loud moments and it's really educational as well. Next on the list, this is a little bit of a boring book, but also I really like it. It's a book about the Pomodoro Technique, and I'd wanted to try the Pomodoro Technique for years, but I just could never find the headspace to implement another regime into my life. But with lockdown and all of this extra headspace that I got, then I decided now was the time for the Pomodoro Technique. So in short, the Pomodoro Technique, how many times do I want to say that? It's 25 minutes of focused, intense, non-stop work, followed by a 5-minute break. And you just keep repeating it. And it seems a bit strange that this is a 133-page book explaining the technique, given that I've just explained it in one sentence. But I myself really love to know the nitty-gritty of the whats, whys, buts and ifs. And the book is great. It goes into so much detail, but there were parts of it that had me going. And I've been doing the Pomodoro Technique for the past few weeks and I am loving it. The next book on the list is What Doesn't Kill Us by Scott Carney. And when I first got it, I was a little bit put off because the text was so tiny. But once I started it, I just couldn't put it down. And the author, who's a journalist and also a skeptic of the methods that he wrote about talks about the effects of breathwork and cold therapy on the human body, inspired by the Wim Hof method. Watch this video. I'd wanted to incorporate breathwork and cold therapy into my routine for years, but could just never muster up the time or the courage to do it. But this book gave me a kick up the backside because, again, like the 10% Happier, it's a story, but it's just absolutely jam-packed with science, facts and case studies. Scott's writing is remarkable. I'm not sure I've ever read a book where the author is just so talented at writing, and he just took me on this journey from skeptic to believer and just weaved all of this science and all of this education in along the way. It was totally fascinating, and as a result of reading it, I've started doing ice baths in a wheelie bin, and I'm making a video about that, which will be on my channel soon. If you're curious about breathwork or cold therapy, if you want to improve your fitness or well-being, or you have an autoimmune disease, then this is the book for you. So those are the books that I have read and I have loved this year, and there are 3 books that I'm still in the process of reading, so I've left them to the end. And the first one is Habits of a Healthy Brain, and I bought this at the same time as The Molecule of More when I wanted to understand the effects of dopamine on the body. But this particular book delves into serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin and endorphin levels. And I've lost a little bit of momentum with this. I'm just almost halfway through, and I think I probably overdosed on books about hormones. I am enjoying it. It's just a bit of a slow read. And then I've got the Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, and again I'm about halfway through and I'm really enjoying it, but the text is really small and it goes deep. Like sometimes I just don't even know what I'm reading. Since learning the importance of sleep, it's actually put me off doing any more long endurance challenges where I lose sleep. And I suppose this would be a good point to say, if you do love your adventures and pushing your mental and physical boundaries, then this book isn't probably a good book to read, because it will more than likely kind of make you question your decisions. So get all of your adventures and your endurance challenges out of the way and then read it. And then finally, this is my fitness Bible. I've had it for years, and it's everything to do with injury prevention, mobility and self-care. It's not so much a book that you'd sit down and read cover to cover, except you just pick out particular exercises to help reduce pain in your body. And I've said for years that I'm going to spend more time on mobilising and self-massage, but it never happened. So during lockdown, I made a promise to myself to spend more time on my body, and I've used this book almost every night for about 10 minutes. And as a result, I've been able to reduce certain aches and pains that I've had in my body for years. The book is pretty pricey at around £35, but it's the same price as a 1-hour massage. So I figure that it's worth it. And also now it gives me the knowledge to know how my body works and also what to do to keep it healthy. All the books that I've mentioned in this video I have linked in the description box, and I've also put my Amazon store in there as well, because that just lists all of the books that I really enjoy reading. I really hope that you've enjoyed this video. It's not my usual kind, but I figured, why not? I'd love to hear what you thought about it in the comments box, and also let me know what books you're reading and recommending. Thanks very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you at another video soon.